we are globally recycling about 5% of all these plastics that are being produced in a year. The production of plastic these days has now reached to a level of about 500 million tons.
He's the CEO of a company called Corsair, which converts plastic into oil.
And we are now paying these people to bring their garbage to us. So people are getting paid cash on spot to bring plastic garbage to us. And based on that, we wanted to create the plastic credit. Plastic credits is something that is going to become a very big part of our sustainability regulations and legislations in different countries around the world.
And welcome to another Value Versus podcast. We have yet again a next level guest within the scene. Thank you so much, Jussi Veikko Saloranto, to create the time to make this podcast within the busy schedule. And Jussi is one of the most remarkable speakers that I know in the game, but he's not only just that, he's the CEO of a company called Corsair, which has its course towards the air, which converts plastic into oil. This is high quality oil that they create from worthless plastic, which nobody wants, through pyrolysis technology. And plastic, if you didn't know, or if you did know, it's polluting the planet big time. It's in fact one of the most environmental biggest problems that we are facing as a mankind. So we already did one podcast in the past. You can check it. And this is one just to follow up to what is going on right now, what has happened, and to give audience some tips regarding leadership, closing, business, and playing the game on a higher self level mode with confidence, persistence, and dedication. That you need to play this game within. Just life. Master the art of life, the game of life. Jussi, wow, what an honor. Again, give a like, subscribe, join the tribe, and thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Niels. That's a great introduction. And thank you for all the kind words. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you for creating the time
to talk with you again. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Because it's you were gone for 6 weeks you on a tour, and now you're back rolling here. What is the most important update that you can tell the audience that you are allowed to actually tell? If you can say some most important updates in general. Maybe the audience are curious regarding the plastic to oil thing. What's going on? What's happening? You know, what we're doing.
Sure. Thank you very much. So, I mean, basically, well, last year for us was a big year of expansion. And I would say that it was the most important, most significant year to date. During that year, we broke pretty much every record in our business that was out there. But in the expansion wise, when we talk about the industrial operations, it really was the year that saw us to expanding to one of the most important regions in the world when it comes to plastic recycling, which is North America. And we are currently developing two projects, one in Canada, in Quebec City, and another one in Florida. And these are our first two North American plants that will become operational in the coming months, which means that then we will also be there recycling the local plastic. Both United States and Canada have a lot of work still in the development of their infrastructure. It is not as bad as it is here in Southeast Asia, where obviously we are operational and have been operational for already since 2020, but it needs a lot of work. Aside from our expansion to these new regions like North America, we have continued our daily work here in Thailand, where we currently have two factories which we are developing. And by the end of this year, we will be at a capacity levels being able to intake more than 2 million kilos of plastic waste per month in our Bangkok facility. Additionally to that, we are expanding our operations in Europe. I believe it was after we last spoke, just about a year ago, We launched our first European factory in Finland, which is now operational over there and been expanded. And we are just waiting for new reactors, new equipment to arrive so we can increase the capacity on a monthly basis. But everything is moving very, very well for the company. And we've been extremely grateful for all the support that we receive from all over the world and the companies that are now seeing the opportunities that can be created by becoming sustainable. It is so important that we build this plastic recycling infrastructure and we, at the same time, monetize the plastic garbage. You mentioned that in your opening monologue about the using this worthless plastic garbage as a raw material. That is exactly what we're doing. And we are putting value into this garbage that typically nobody wants. And that has to be done in order for us to build this plastic recycling infrastructure that is needed globally so that we don't end up drowning into all this plastic waste. That's my opening statement.
Indeed, because we are facing many threats, but one plastic problem is the biggest threat we're actually facing. And I hope with this company, and I hope actually way more companies start doing this, or maybe you would be the company to acquisition all the companies from there, really taking a tackle to solve the problem. Let's see. So we're going to Canada, we're going to USA, to Finland, Europe, maybe others in Europe too, because there is a big thing in Europe going on with the law where you, as a government, have to pay 800 euros per ton that gets produced that you don't recycle, huh? So what is the future also is very important for Corsair there in Europe, right?
Absolutely. I mean, basically, Europe has been spearheading really the development on a global scale. And especially when we look at anything to do with sustainability, environmental aspects, those things would normally begin from Europe. And then from there, they get implemented into different regions around the world. And a number of new regulations in Europe has now already come into effect as recently as the 1st of January. One of those is that, for example, the plastic manufacturing companies that are actually producing these chemicals to be made into all these kind of variety of plastic products that we use every day, these companies are now obligated by the new regulations to use at least 30% recycled raw material in the manufacturing of their plastics. This is creating and has created a massive demand for recycled plastic raw material. So both on our end as a so-called chemical recycler of plastic waste, but also in the mechanical recycling industry, which primarily is focusing on the plastic bottles and stuff. So that's one. Another one which you there referred to is the national requirement where basically every European Union nation as a country is obligated to pay for the European Parliament 800 euros per ton for every 1,000 kilos of plastic waste which is not recycled within the country. So, for example, the Finnish environmental minister of Finland, I'm originally from Finland, by the way, so he recently came out and just made a tweet where he said that Finland, as a small country of only about 5-6 million people, is paying around 100 million euros a year as a penalty, as a country, coming from the taxpayers' money because of this regulation, because Finland is not recycling at the moment more than 25% of its plastic. So what's interesting here, and this is actually a message that I really want to send out to people in power, is that wherever Corsair builds a plastic waste recycling plant, which means that we will be then able to take all types of plastic waste, like packaging products, plastic bags, all these wrapping products and such. Wherever we built that factory into, we would normally be able to convert around 12 million kilos of plastic waste per year into this high quality, valuable, high market value pyrolysis oil that we then provide for our offtake partners, such as, for example, Shell. So any location where we place these factories into will now have a recycler that is able to process 12 million kilos or 12,000 tons of plastic annually. This means that that country where Corsair builds a factory into will, from that moment, start saving about 9.6 million euros a year in taxpayers' money, just because the Corsair factory is located in there. So, in my opinion, if we want to do good for any country, we need to have, as quickly as possible, a Corsair facility in every single country and every single major city across Europe and across the world. But the benefits for the individual European countries with these new regulations can be quite significant.
Indeed. Very important that we also have this in Belgium, where we are based right now. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe in other countries of Europe, there are many things going on. It's just not like you buy an iPhone, for example, and it starts working, right? You have to really do a lot of operations to get a machine up and running and to finally get it oil coming out from these machines, from all the plastic garbage. And the first proof of concept, which was in Thailand, was kind of a hard job. Many other businesses that do plastic into oil, they kind of go bankrupt. And what is the difference from your business model, that you also do the same, where it works with you but not with them?
Well, I think there's a few differentiation factors here, and as an entrepreneur, when you start a new business, especially in a new emerging market or a new industry, like in our case, there is, even still today, there is no playbook. You cannot walk into a library and rent a book that says, how are you going to build a successful plastic waste chemical recycling business? It doesn't exist.
Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, maybe
yet.
You should write them. Maybe you should write the book with me.
ChatGPT maybe would, but
oh yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, before you know it, at the end of the podcast, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, here's the book. Right. Well, we should do that. But the thing is that there is no playbook. There's no manual. Right. So as an entrepreneur, when you engage into something like this, like we did, me together with my four co-founding partners, the only thing that we could really rely on was our own vision and gut feeling to say, yeah, okay, I think this is where it's going to go. And one thing that I can say that I'm pretty good at is I'm pretty good at analyzing markets. I'm pretty good at analyzing trends, where certain things are going to go. I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but common sense. Okay. But one thing that I am fairly good at is at collecting general information and forming the bigger picture. All right. Screw the details. That's for later. And yes, the devil is in the details, but that comes after. All right. First, you need to have the basic general idea of, okay, is this going to work? What's the opportunity here? Where is this market going? And then what's happening in the existing field of that business? So basically, in the year 2020, we knew that the plastic recycling infrastructure globally is almost non-existent. Okay, it doesn't exist. Now, fast forward 5 years, it still doesn't exist. Okay, we are globally recycling about 5% of all these plastics that are being produced in a year. And let me give you some updates. I'm gonna give you a lot of shit here. This okay, but I'll just throw it all for you, and I hope your listeners will be able to grab something from it. Okay, so first of all, the production of plastic these days has now reached to a level of about 500 million tons a year. Okay, 500 million tons doesn't generally feel like maybe much, but if you think about it, it's actually significantly more in weight than the combined weight of every single human being on the planet. All right, that's how much plastic is produced globally in 1 year alone. All right, this 500 million tons is expected to triple during the next 30 years. All right, we are currently recycling about 5% of whatever is being produced today. And 95% of that plastic is ending into the landfills, getting burned, or most worst case scenario is that it ends up into the oceans. Okay, now, because of the increase and the growth of the middle class, we are going to need more and more and more plastics in the future, globally speaking. Because when you have locations like Africa, South America, Middle East, India, China, where basically I sound like Trump, China. Anyway, so when these countries are increasing and the middle class is growing, it means that they will need more and more and more plastics, because people will no longer go into the local village market with a basket to buy their food. Instead, they go to the local convenience store around the corner around the corner, and the shop around the corner, and they buy the stuff from there, which is all wrapped in plastics. So that means that the use of plastic is going to increase in the future, and therefore the production is going to increase. And as of today, we see that the plastic production is actually growing 10 times more faster than the development of the plastic recycling infrastructure. So what it really means is that, yes, okay, today we are maybe recycling 5%. But if we don't really speed up the process, few years from now, we'll be recycling 4% and then 3%. It's going down, it's not going up. So that means that we have to build the infrastructure extremely quickly. That's where this is all going. So I had an understanding of this one, that, okay, this is something's gotta happen, right? And the recycling industry, which still today, as I said, doesn't really exist, would generally be divided in terms of plastics to two segments. There is the mechanical recycling, and then there is the chemical recycling. In a mechanical recycling, you can use things like the plastic bottles and some very clean polyethylene, polypropylene, but it has to be really clean, because what they actually do is they will mechanically crush these plastics into small pellets, and then those pellets can be used again to make, for example, construction materials. But the challenge is that with mechanical recycling, you cannot use all types of plastics. You are very limited to the types that you use. And also it has to be very clean. Now, in our case, the area that we wanted to focus on with Corsair is the chemical recycling, which means that we are using a process called pyrolysis, where we can actually convert practically any type of plastic.
Even hard plastics, you can
hard plastics, soft
in.
plastics,
Wow.
anything, even multi-layer plastics with like potato chip bags with metal films and everything in them. We can convert those into back into their original liquid form, which is the crude oil. And then from that crude oil, we can then produce different types of products. We can either sell it to the oil refineries that can use that oil to make gasoline, diesel, and kerosene jet fuel. Or most importantly, we can provide it for the petrochemical companies like Shell that can use that oil to make new plastic products. Now, I realized very early on that this is an area which was very, very non-existing, and that there is going to be a demand for this. And in 2020, we started developing our first factory here in Thailand to work on this area. And I'm going to come shortly to your point that you made earlier. What makes us different? Okay, we're coming to that. So we knew that it's going to take time to be able to figure this thing out. And I say many times, and I've said it many times, that you know, we don't have all the answers in place. Nobody has, but we will figure it out. So whatever happens, whatever problems, whatever challenges that we face, well, we'll figure it out. And so far, we've been able to figure out all of these different things that are out there. And and when we started, we looked at other companies that were out there as well. And the trend for all other companies was that they would be going forward with building big machines, very expensive, large-scale projects, and obviously they would cost a lot of money. Well, we didn't have that luxury in the beginning when we started, and therefore our only option was really to go with more inexpensive, smaller machines, whatever we could acquire to get started. And we built our business model to become very different from a lot of the other companies out there. Our business plan is based on using a multiple smaller pyrolysis reactors instead of having one large reactor. And when we did this, when we started building this plan, a lot of people told me that I'm crazy. They said, "Oh, why you want to do that? It's not doesn't make, why you want to have so many machines?" Okay, well, I think this is common sense.
Yeah.
If you have a number of smaller machines, first of all, it's much more manageable when it comes to unexpected events. Number one, if one of your machines breaks down, you can still run the other 9 machines while the one is being maintained or fixed. Or you can run them in different phases, which means that your factory can operate 24 hours a day. And on top of that, when you do maintenance and anything else, you don't have to drive the entire factory down. So this made complete sense to me. The other point was that we were getting involved with limited resources, and therefore we needed to get machines that work, and having these smaller units was much more manageable and possible for us, instead of going in and buying and building machines that would cost tens of millions of euros. Now, the other point of view was that we didn't have the luxury to have big financial support from early on. We do now, but early on we didn't. And we had to put in whatever money we were able to put in ourselves, and bring in early investors, and bring in private equity investors, our friends and family and associates who came involved and participated into building the first factories. This was the only way we could do it. And on top of that, we knew that at the end of the month, we have to pay salaries. We have to pay expenses. So we have to start building and producing oil immediately. We don't have years to just go into research and study and do these things, and then maybe one day we're going to produce some oil. No, we have to start producing now, because we got bills to be paid at the end of the month. So we had to be in action. We had to be on that level of stress and commitment, and even take a significant amount of personal risk to do that. And a friend of mine, he has a great saying. He says, no risk, no champagne.
No.
So if you want to achieve something, well, you do have to take some risks. And as an entrepreneur, it can be very different depending on what industry you are, whatever you're doing. But risks is something that you do need to take if you want to grow fast, if you want to get something done. And for me, I personally operate very, very comfortably under enormous amount of stress and risk. I'm not a gambler. I don't play any gambling. I'm not into casinos, none of that stuff. I have no interest on that. But I can operate under a lot of stress. And that has allowed us as a company to take, especially in the first couple of years, very big risks, which if failed would have then materialized almost exclusively on me personally, because I've guaranteed a lot of things for the company on a personal level. So that's what needed. So what has happened now I finally come to your point after this long rant, was that some of these companies in Europe that had big funding in the beginning, they had received tens of millions of euros in funding, and now they went out and started building their factories. I think that might have been one of their biggest problems, is that they had too much money in the beginning. That's actually not necessarily a very good thing for a new company. Number two problem was that most of these companies were run by engineers, not entrepreneurs. Because if you put together a group of engineers with basically an unlimited budget, what is going to happen? And I don't want to speak in any way bad about engineers. I have a large group of engineers working for me every single day, all right? I have nothing bad to say about them. But let's be honest and let's analyze the different characteristics of people. I'm going to talk about finance people in a minute as well. But the first thing is that if you have a group of engineers, especially European engineers, and you give them 50 million euros of budget, and you say, okay, guys, this is what we want to do. These guys will go to work and they will now plan and build the best, most efficient, groundbreaking, most amazing technology and machine in the world. Because that's how the engineer mind works. And that process takes time. It can take years and years before you produce even 1 single liter of oil. And at the same time, you now have very high maintenance and operating expenses. You're paying top salaries for a lot of European researchers, engineers. These guys don't work cheap. And it means that you're burning money every single month. And then here comes the outcome. A lot of these companies that you will see in our industry have been forced to raise more money because they need more time to develop their process. They're not yet ready. They're not working. They have technical problems. They're not production. They're not getting into production. And because they received big funding, everybody is expecting big results. They can't say, hey, we're going to produce 50,000 liters next month. No, they're expected to produce 50 million liters next month, which means that they have to deliver big results because they had big funding. Now, with that in mind, they are spending a lot of money, and this has happened for a number of companies already in our industry. They're spending a lot of money every month, and now they're running out of money. The bank account gets dry. So the only way how they can now raise money, because banks won't give them any loans, they don't have any real assets that they could take mortgages in the company with, maybe personally, but not in the company. So the only way that they can actually do fundraising is by selling stock in the company. And a lot of these companies have gone to the public stock markets, where they are now able to raise more funding to keep the process going. And as a result of that, a lot of these companies have sold so much stock that the original founders are now minority shareholders in their own business, even before they really started operating. A lot of these companies are not even operating, and the original founders are already minority partners. Or they are operating very, very small quantities and still battling with all kinds of technical problems. And they have to continue to keep selling more stock and becoming a smaller and smaller and smaller owner in their own business, even before it was really able to take off from the ground. In our case, number one, we started with smaller machines, which allowed us to have smaller investments and immediate returns. Okay? On top of that, by having a number of smaller machines, we can naturally scale up the production. We can grow naturally. All right? And also the fact that we started our operations in Thailand was a big difference, big differentiating factor. Because here in Thailand, we are able to bring in a very qualified, extremely professional team of chemical engineers and structural engineers and researchers to work with us for a fraction of the cost what it would cost in Europe. So with a smaller financial resources, we are actually able to have a longer runway.
Plus, you got so many more sticks.
Yeah. And obviously the plastics are here, but that's from the business side of you. So those have really been the differentiating factors from our business. And I can tell you right now, from the Corsair group, we have not, as of today, sold a single share from the international holding company of our group, which is still today owned 100% by the original founding partners. Wow. So that's the big difference from us. And I would say that we are the fastest growing company in this industry. And yeah, we are
next level vision.
We are pushing for a global expansion and hoping to become and hoping to be one of the leading companies in the industry.
Wow. And I'm just curious because you were talking about the pressure and the amount of risk that you were literally taking on your name, only just that. How do you handle that pressure of maintaining the success and the expansion of the business, of also knowing, like, how do you just stay with all, you even have kids, right? I guess. And
yes.
Yeah, you have a wife and you have many things going on. Like how is your process in that life?
Well, first of all, I play to win, right? I don't play not to lose. I play to win. And whenever you start a new business, you're always taking risks, like I said before. And you have to be able to manage your sort of capacity of handling those risks. And when I talk about risks in this case, I'm not talking about anything illegal or anything against the rules and the regulations. That's not what I mean by risks. Or gambling your house away or anything else like that. No, I'm talking about calculated risks that are involved in building businesses. Okay. And oftentimes it has to do with finances. So, for example, in our case, during the first 2 years of our business, we ended up taking over 2 other competing companies in Thailand that were part of this same industry. And both of these companies had been operating longer than we were. And what I was able to put together was a contract where we basically bought the companies and we bought all their assets, their clients, their staff, their machinery, everything that they had. And we brought them all into the Corsair team. And what was so massively valuable was that we were now able to combine operational know-how and experiences from 3 different separate companies. We had our own Corsair team, and now we had these 2 other teams that we were able to bring together. And I told these guys, we put everybody in the same room and say, okay, guys, now let's focus on making new mistakes. That's what we're here for. All right. We don't want to be doing the same mistakes again. Let's not do the old mistakes. Let's focus on making new mistakes, learning and figuring it out. And by having these 3 different teams working now together, it basically meant that these guys were able to say, hey, we tried that one, that didn't really work out. These guys can say, yeah, well, we tried this one and that didn't work out. Okay, great. Well, let's find a new way to do it, right? And because of that, we were able to, first of all, take over the entire plastic waste chemical recycling market in Thailand. I would even say big part of Southeast Asia. And as a result of that, with the combination of the experience and the know-how that was put together, really figure out a lot of things that other companies were still struggling to find their way through. So that was one thing. But in order for me to do this, and in order for us to acquire all the assets, the lands and the operating, we have, for example, in Bangkok alone, we have about 20,000 square meters of land that we have for our facility that we are developing at the moment. And in order to buy these assets, because we didn't have the funding in place that I could just, hey, here's your money, you know, like give me your company. I had to personally negotiate payment plans. So what I would do as a foreigner living here in Thailand is I would give these people what is the local custom. It's very regularly done. I would write checks. You might even not remember what the checks are, but they are, you know, still back in the old day. They would even have them in
I still
most
have
parts of.
ones.
You
For
got
my
some
child
checks?
that got born, I get
Oh,
a
yeah.
check.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So in Thailand, they still do a lot of things with checks, right? So, but basically, you know, there's a way of doing this, which is that, for example, I took over this company and we agreed on a price, which in this case was, for example, €1 million. And what I would do is I would sign 12 checks with the purchase price divided into these checks, and I would date the checks for 1 month after another. One for January, February, March, April, so on and so on. Which basically means that now the seller can take the checks, go to bank every month, and take the money from the check.
Boom.
Now, the problem is that, or the challenge and the risk is that if the money is not there on the day when the check is supposed to be activated, that is considered fraud. And in Thailand, for one check, there is a jail sentence for about 6 months. Okay? Now, with these 3 purchases that we did, 2 companies and 1 larger asset that we bought land, involved land, I had over 30 of these checks out there. Which means that, for example, on the 15th of each month, I know that there needs to be 350,000 euros in the bank account. It needs to be there. Or things could go very quickly, very bad. In the worst case, I go to jail for years.
Yeah.
You know, well, like I said, you know, 6 months per check in jail time, 30. Yeah, you do the math. You know, could put me away for a long time. So the thing is that, you know, when you get to that point, I would never recommend anybody to take that kind of a personal, and I guaranteed it personally, right? So it's my head that rolls. if it happens. It's not the other partners, it's not the other shareholders, it's just me. All right.
Yeah, because you're the entrepreneur. You're the one spokesman doing it, right?
I am the director of the company. I am the one who is legally responsible.
But you're not
right?
Responsible for the plastic and the chemical process that other people then are doing, right? So this is...
Well, as a director of a company, you're responsible for everything. That's pretty much how it works, right?
But you cannot do everything, right?
No, of course.
At that moment,
but in the end of the day, you are responsible, right?
Yeah, percent.
And that's how it works to a certain extent. Of course, there are things which are obviously not contractually under your responsibility, or you have outsourced someone to someone, then somebody else is responsible. But the point is that as a general rule is that obviously as a CEO or a director of a company, well, you are responsible legally. And in this case, it meant that my neck was on the line to make sure that we had the needed amount of money to pay every month, which accumulated into millions of euros. And, I personally fight the best when my back is against the wall. And I actually like the stress. I enjoy that pressure because it actually gives me energy. And of course, when you don't have a plan B, there's no other option. Then you have to perform. You have to pull it together, right? There's no other choice. And I can tell you that when the last one of those checks cleared out from the bank, it was like 1,000 kilos was lifted from my shoulders and we were free. Okay, perfect. And now it's paid. It's done, finished. Now it's going to change. And now it can become much, much more fun because now you're no longer fighting for survival. Now you can start doing things that you want to do. Hey, let's build that. Let's invest money here. Let's do that. Let's make this one better. Let's develop that. So you can do the fun stuff. But for us, one of the biggest reasons why we are where we are today is because of the fact that we took those early stage risks and went all in. It was not, hey, we do a little bit. It's all or nothing. It's all in. And as an entrepreneur of any business, if you want this thing to fucking work, you gotta go all in. All in.
All in.
There's no other choice. So for me, that stress actually is a motivating factor. Another motivating factor is I love when people tell me that it doesn't work. Oh my God, I love that. I eat that for breakfast. People tell me this is not gonna work. It's not gonna go. Oh my God, I love that. I love it when people say this is not good, that's not work, it's not gonna happen. I love that. It motivates me. It makes me work even harder to prove those people wrong.
But like you are the one really making this into the game of an existence. But when it comes down to the engineering part, right? It's like you feel the want to change the manifestation of plastic into oil. You fully, let's say, knowledgeable on how you would do it. How would you dare then stay calm in those situations when maybe at certain points the plastic to oil was not coming and there was so much on the line? Do you get what I mean?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, obviously, you need a team to build anything big. Let's put it like that. Okay, there are certain things that you can these days, a one-man show, you can do certain things, maybe online trading, stuff like that. Yeah, okay, you can. But to build anything beyond that, you need a team. Big one or a small one, right? Whatever. But you need a team. And in our industry, which is still involving labor, we employ more than 100 people globally right now. We're probably going to double that this year. We're going to probably have more than 200 by the end of this year.
Wow.
And it means that you have a lot of layers, right? You have your top executives, you have your directors, you got your managers, you got your vice presidents, you got your factory managers and production managers and shift managers and team leaders, and then you got the different positions with engineering and labor and this and that, and there's a lot of structure there, and that is something that no man or a woman, no person can do alone. And it really comes down to a team. But I'll tell you a truth in life when it comes to leadership. When a company becomes successful, it is because of the result of having a good team. When the company fails, it is because of the leader. That's the reality. You want to be a leader, you have to accept that point. If you get some success, the success is going to be due to and because of a great team. But if you fail, it's going to be because of the failure of a leader. That's how it works.
Jussi, this is... Yeah, go.
There's a saying saying that success has many parents, but the failure is an orphan, right? Nobody wants to claim ownership for the failure. But if there's a success, everybody says that they were part of, everybody was involved, everybody was supporting, right? That's how it works in life.
Truly amazing leadership that you then did, not only just in general, but even at the retreat. I was at Thailand with you and with the whole hundreds of people that were there. Great kudos towards your leadership and how this all happened. I'm truly astonished to see this whole event with everything within it combined. How do you do this? How do you get all these people to do what they have to do while you do what you do and then make such a successful leadership retreat? Not only that, just a successful business that we're in right now with everything within it. I'm just like, yeah, for leaders becoming leaders, very, very nice how you do it.
Well, thank you. I would say that, and I don't speak for anybody else, but this is how it works for me, right?
Yeah.
This is based on my own fundamentals, let's say like that. First of all, there is not a single job in our company that is currently performed by these more than 100 people. There's not a single job in our company which I wouldn't be ready to do myself if I needed to do. That's the first thing.
Ooh.
And
whoa, okay. You do it all if you need to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I get a call tomorrow and say, hey, we really need Jay, we need you to be here on the separation line of the garbage, don't worry, I'm there.
Yeah.
I got no issues of doing the dirtiest, the heaviest work in our operations. Okay. Now, the challenge is that if I do that, then there's obviously a lot of other stuff that somebody else needs to do and somebody maybe cannot do. So, but the fundamentals is the point of that is that you as a leader need to be willing to do every job out there. Okay. Number two, I believe that if you want to have a committed, dedicated, passionate team working with you, you as a leader need to work more than anybody else. Okay? At least in the growth stage of the business. Not maybe in the future, not maybe when you're already, up on a different level and the business is running on processes and automation, and you have people that know what they're doing. So you don't have to be doing every work over there. But in the beginning, you have to be able to do everything. Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And then your job as a leader, as an entrepreneur, is to build the processes that you can then hire other people work those things, or bring a partner or shareholder, somebody who joins your business to take responsibility of certain areas. Like in Corsair, we have very clear roles that my 4 co-founders and partners are doing every day. Sonny, he runs our operational part when it comes to the factories and the project development. Garrett, he runs the finance department. Wayne runs the IT department and also the day-to-day operations of the Amplivo network. We have Andre Tops, who runs our operations, especially on international outside Thailand areas. And over the last couple of years, we've been bringing in other people, hugely important people, that have started taking responsibilities from those guys, developing these sub areas, project development here, or investor relations here, or legal, or da. And that's what you have to do as a leader. You have to build these processes, because many times they're not there when you start in day one. And before you can bring anybody else in, you have to know what you want out of it. There is a good saying. I'm going to throw these quotes that I've heard a long time ago. This is not my invention. But somebody said very well that the 2 most important tasks of a leader is, number 1, hire people that are more qualified and smarter and better than you are. And number 2 is delegate. That's it. It's a very simple example, but it does hold some truth. You want to bring in people that can run different departments of your business. It would be very valuable. I'm not saying that it's a must, but it would be very valuable for you to understand the fundamentals and the basics of those departments. So, for example, for me, I have a very general and good understanding how the factories work at all times, how the processes work. I'm not an engineer. I'm not claiming to be, right? We have engineers that work for us, and these guys know the process. They know it better than I know, better than anybody in the management, okay? They are the ones managing it on a day-to-day basis. And then we got our factory managers and our engineers. These guys know the process, same as in finance. I don't claim to be a finance guy, but I understand the basics of accounting and reporting. But we have a finance director and we have the accountants, and these guys are, but I need to have a basic understanding of what happens over that area. And the same thing goes for all of your areas, IT, this and this and this. So, but in our company, eventually how it works is that the creating the strategy and eventually leading the expansion and managing those larger conversations when it comes to partnerships and collaborations and any kind of collaborations that we do with larger companies and such, then that will be my responsibility. I am still, at least for now, I am more or less the face of the company, and then that's the part that I do. But at any given moment, if need to be, I am ready to jump in to any of these other areas and take more involvement of working with the people there if we have to solve some problems. But if you have good partners and you have good people working with you and leading your organization, then with your skills and with your support, they can run independently. And that's a very important part as well. When you bring people into your organization, I'm talking about hiring now, if you bring people into your organization, then, again, this is my opinion, but I've always done it in a way that I then let these guys to run their department. So if I bring somebody else, hey, listen, this is your role, this is your department, I want you to run this, I want you to develop this, I need to give the idea what I want him to do, what's the target, where do we want to build this thing to, right? IT, finance, production, whatever it is, right? But then I need to let this guy go out and do it in the way that he sees best. What I can't do is I can't then be there micromanaging him, looking over his shoulder and say, what are you doing? Why are you doing like that? No, do it like this. If I'm doing that, then that guy is going to leave. You cannot have good people. You cannot have good people staying with you unless you give them then the freedom to execute in the way that they have the ability to do. So you need to find good people, committed people that can use their own brain and solve problems and figure things out and develop stuff. And then you need to give them the resources and the freedom to go out and do it for you. That's what you really need. And a lot of entrepreneurs fail on this. I know that. I've seen that happen so many times. They bring people in, but then they don't let those people to go and do the job that they were hired for. And eventually those people become tired, and either they stop trying, they go like, well, okay, you know what? I'll just do whatever you tell me to do. And now they're operating, at a 50% effort because they feel like, I don't want to put anything more because this guy doesn't get it, right? Or they just simply leave. So if you want to bring in good people that are preferably smarter than you are, more effective and efficient and qualified than you are, find those people, set them clear targets, clear vision where you want to go, and then let them run that department. Of course, you have to oversee, and they have to be responsible. They have to be able to report for you the budgets and the results and the performance. But yes, reporting needs to be there, but then you need to let them figure it out and do it in the best way. And if they can't, then you need to get somebody else to do it. That's...
And how you know that they're really gonna be the good people? You have a inner gut feeling that this is gonna be it, or maybe you already had someone and you say this is gonna be the one I work with, but then oh no, shit, he doesn't do it. How do you know this is the person that is fit?
Well, listen, for example, I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people during my life. And to be honest, I have never looked through anything more than a glimpse of their CV. Yes,
yeah.
if I'm looking for a lawyer, or if I'm looking for an accountant, or if I'm looking for an engineer, okay, I need to make sure that this guy, has the background and he has some, but that's about it. I want to know who this guy is and what he can do and where he's coming from, what level of experience he has, where did he work before, what was he doing over there, and then I can figure it out pretty much from that already. And then eventually it's about the gut feeling. To be honest, that's most of the times. It's a gut feeling. How do you feel about it? And the more recruiting you do, of course, more mistakes you do in recruiting wrong people, the better you get at it usually.
Yeah, because you made a lot of mistakes, right? Or you were always right, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. No. I made a lot of mistakes. I've hired a lot of wrong people on my days. And
you kept them for a long time, maybe also sometimes, I don't know.
Well, here's a good advice that I have heard a long time ago. And the advice is this: let's imagine that you now have someone working in your business. You are an entrepreneur, you got 10 people working for you. If you could go back in time, so let's say you got John working in your company, and you kind of feel like, I don't know about this John, I don't know if he really fits into the team, whatever the reason is. The advice is that think to yourself, if you had a time machine, you could go back to the moment when you hired John to your company and ask yourself the question, if you knew at that moment, if you would have known at the moment when you hired John, everything you know about John now, 1 year later, would you still hire him? And if the answer to your question is no, I don't think I would hire John if I could go back in time. Then I'm sad to say, but then you need to release John immediately. You need to resign him right away. He's not fit for your company. So that's what I've usually told. I think if I could go back, would I still hire this guy? And if my answer is, I don't think I would, then the next day I'm going to talk to him about a package for resigning. Because it can be anything. It can be a negative attitude. People with negative attitude, that's actually, to be honest, that's one of the biggest, one of the biggest red flags for me. Somebody with a negative attitude can be like a cancer, can be like a poison in a good team.
Like they're the victim mindset or negative.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's obviously there's all the different categories of negative attitude, but yeah, there's somebody is very pessimistic. They just got a generally a very, very low energy. They emit this bad mood when they come around, or they're just negative in some way. I hate that. Listen, I can't stand that. I work extremely long hours. I work more than anybody else in this company, for example. I sleep few hours a night. Now it's 3:30 at night for me, and we're doing this call over here. And I got a bunch of calls to do after this. So I'll get to bed normally, whatever, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'll sleep a few hours and I'm back at it. So the thing is that if I then go to a meeting and there's somebody there with a negative attitude and they are pushing my energy down, no, it's either I'm leaving or he's leaving. That's it. Because I am so protective of my mindset and my energy levels that I have to maintain throughout the day. And that's everything from diet, that's everything from exercise, that's everything from personal development and motivation. But mostly it's about what kind of people do you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with negative people and constant negativity, you can't expect great results from yourself or from the team. So negativity is something that you need to cut out from the team. It's like a cancer. And if you don't do it, it's going to kill you. That's just unfortunately the very
And negativity could
harsh
also
reality.
be people going into distractions, right? In Thailand, look at the glitter and glamour that there is with the she-males and also with smoking and now the weed being legal and also the alcohol and
Absolutely.
they're distracting us and distraction prevents action. So yeah, this is also then what you mean with negativity, right? Or
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
something else because
Absolutely.
maybe you do also alcohol still, right? Sometimes.
Well, not that
I don't
there is
know.
anything wrong if somebody uses. I actually use very little alcohol. I
Okay.
I might have a glass of wine or something like maybe once a week, maybe not even that. I'm not so much into drinking anymore. I used to work, maybe you remember, I used to work years and years in nightclubs
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah,
in
back in the day.
my years in. So I kind of got my good share. Like you hang around with people in the clubs and in the bars for years, and my tolerance level sort of reached the top. So I have nothing against using alcohol, especially using it responsibly and with
And same with weed,
this
maybe if people
with
do it
decency.
or
I don't have any opinions about that. You do whatever makes you happy, right?
yeah.
And of course, if it's if it's a addiction of anything, then that's obviously bad.
And killing
And
the productivity, right?
oh, absolutely. So the thing is that people that have then who can't control those things, and as you said, well, especially here in Thailand, um, uh, it's a little bit different thing with the Thai staff, of course. They are local, so they don't really have, they don't have the same setup. Whereas if you have a foreigner who moves, for example, from the Netherlands or Belgium or Europe, moves here and now gets, overwhelmed by some of these new things that are available. And that can cause a lot of problems. I've seen that happen for many times. To be honest, one of the things these days I do, if I'm looking to hire somebody, one of the things that I would ask if they do any exercise, if they have any hobbies that involve exercising, going to the gym, going for the walk, regularly going for walks, any type of exercising activity that they do regularly. That tells you quite a lot about the person. Especially, I understand that there's some people that are absolutely, they say, hey, I don't have time. Okay, I'm one of those people. I told myself and everybody else for years that I don't have time for exercising. But then I built a gym at my home. And now with a personal trainer, I am training basically every day. We schedule the training for 7 days a week, but then sometimes I can't, or something comes up, and that becomes a rest day. But generally speaking, we exercise every day. Sometimes it's very quick, light 15 minutes, whatever, but I try to do that every day. And that does bring you energy. It's unbelievable. It does bring your energy levels higher. It gives you much, much more motivation. And at least for me, I learned that, or I've learned that when I work in the gym and it's boring and it's not fun and it's not nice, but you still gotta, fight it through.
Lift the weights.
Then that gives you, it programs your mind to be better dealing with other unwanted stuff. Sometimes you got things that you really don't want to do in the work or your business, but it kind of gives you, okay, let's do it. Come on, let's one more. Let's do it.
Like going in the ice bath.
Yeah, exactly. So in recruiting, I am placing much more attention into the exercising behaviors of the people that we hire, and also having a gym in the office, which is available for all the staff members to use.
Wow.
That work in the office, helps a lot, because then you can have, if you can offer that kind of exercising opportunity for your staff, you will see the effects.
Beautiful how you manage the leadership. And will there be another retreat coming, you think? Or it will be every year? And what do people have to do to qualify for it also, maybe?
Well, for the Amplivo members, basically this retreat is part of our annual event. So basically, we are now getting into a cycle of things where, for example, this year we are going to have one major European tour, which will take place in the spring. We're going to be announcing those details later on for everybody. And we will be covering a number of cities through Europe, during which time we hope to be able to meet and to speak with as many of the existing and hopefully new Amplivo partners throughout Europe. We're going to be on the road for several weeks, and during this time, we're coming to a number of cities. Then we're going to have at least 2 North American tours, including Canada and the USA, during this year. And then finally, towards the end of the year, we're going to have again the annual Amplivo event called Vision, which, as a form of almost like an Oscar Gala kind of a thing, is now becoming a tradition, and that will be held in Bangkok. And the Vision event, the Amplivo Annual Summit, is an invitation-only event. We don't sell tickets there.
Okay.
Last year I think we had about 150 people, and I'm expecting that this year we're going to have close to 300, maybe even more. There is a few requirements that is expected. People that are invited, they need to be active, of course, and actively working in the business, and they need to have a certain star rank in order to be invited. We're going to release all those information later when we actually announce the venue and the time as well. And this year, we're going to again first nominate and then award the up-and-comers. We have a great award called the Rising Star, which means that new Amplivo partners that have joined within the year and have done a tremendous work can be recognized with the Rising Star of the year 2025 award. We will also have the National Amplivo Partner Award, and then the International Amplivo Partner of the Year Award, and then finally the Global Amplivo Partner of the Year Award. And last year it was Lumina from France who won the Global Partner of the Year Award, and it'll be very interesting to see who is going to be the winner during this year. Obviously, the year has just started, so a lot of things will happen during this year. We're going to see a lot of new people coming forward. We're going to see a lot of people advancing in their star ranking, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Amplivo is expanding greatly. We've obviously had a really, really good year. 2024 was, as I said before, it was a year of building and finalizing the process of setting up the foundation, which now is in place. And now this year we are really, really ready for a massive global expansion. And we're going to have so many great and important developments and progress that's going to happen this year. Great new partnerships, great new collaborations. We're going to move completely to a new level in the way we do business. And yeah, with Amplivo, as I've said before, as a network marketing company, we have only one goal, and that is to become the biggest, most successful network marketing company in history.
And within Amplivo, they provide plastic neutrality packages for companies and to go plastic neutral, just like we did with our company, plus also myself. And yeah, this is a important thing that needs to be done. Maybe for some background information to give the audience a small detail on what is the plastic credit, right? That Amplivo provides. And lately we even had just a big price increase happening. How do you see the price also going further? And what was the price increase suddenly that came within it?
Well, basically,
CSR plastic credits.
Right. So basically, well, a little bit background, what is the plastic credit? So as you said, some of the people might be aware of the so-called carbon credits that have been around for a number of years. And basically, carbon credits are a system where the companies that pollute will pay for the companies that clean, okay? Or in the terms of the carbon credits, pollute less. All right, so there is the way how this functions. But basically, it means that we bring in money into a new environment where the companies that are making negative impact on the environment have to now take responsibility of that by contributing into the cleaning of it. Now, plastic credit is a very similar concept, but because we're dealing with physical product like plastic, not carbon in the air, it obviously functions slightly differently. The plastic credit is a digital receipt which proves that plastic has been removed from the environment. So what Corsair and our contributing partners that we have in different parts of the world, what we do on a daily basis is we are recovering plastic from the environment, from the landfills, from the rivers, from the oceans, from the cities, and we're either collecting it from the landfills or from the environment, or we're stopping it to entering there. And now capturing it and getting it into recycling, right? In one way or another, the waste is no longer polluting the environment, but will now become a raw material, either into mechanical recycling or into chemical recycling. And we, together with Wayne Dobson, created and designed the CSR plastic credit in 2021, after we had already started operating as a recycler. So we already had the practical day-to-day knowledge of what is happening in the recycling field. And based on that, we wanted to create the plastic credit, which is making sense from the point of view of the recycler. And in order to do this, we decided that the best and the most transparent and trustworthy database where we could store the information would be a blockchain. In this case, the Ethereum blockchain. So what we did is we created the CSR plastic credit. We launched it in 2021. And it works in a way where every time when the plastic is recovered from the environment, this work gets documented, the kilos get calculated, and then audited by a third-party auditor. And then based on that work, we will then be able to issue and to release into circulation an equivalent amount of CSR plastic credits, which matches the amount in kilos. In the terms of the CSR, 1 kilo of plastic waste removed from the environment will allow us to release 10 CSR plastic credits. That's the method. 1 kilo, 10 credits, meaning 1 credit represents 100 grams of plastic waste recovered from the environment. And these credits can then be used by private individuals or companies who want to participate into the cleaning of our environment from the plastic pollution. And at the moment, a lot of these regulations are still being developed. So it is of voluntary participation that a lot of companies have already engaged and started using plastic credits. Companies like PepsiCo, like Coca-Cola, like Nestle, Unilever, Microsoft, and many others. Basically, what they do is they buy credits, which helps financially to support the recycling and the collection process. And then after acquiring those credits, they can then go and retire those credits in the way of activating them. And by doing so, they will receive the certificate that you're holding in your hand. So we have today clients all over the world, thousands of customers that are buying from us what we call a plastic waste removal service, which means that these customers are helping Corsair and our contributing partners to collect more and more and more plastic from the environment. Once the work has been done, these customers will then receive the CSR plastic credit as a receipt confirming that the work was completed. And then these clients can either go and use the credits themselves by retiring them and getting the certificate as what you, Niels, are holding at the moment. Or they can, if they want to, go and place them into any of the open marketplaces where they can go and sell these credits. So, and then again, anybody who's looking to buy the credits and wants to get them immediately, they can go to the marketplaces, buy them from there, and then retire them, get the certificate. And that's how it moves forward. So that's basically the basic functions of it. And the plastic credits is something that is going to become a very big part of our sustainability regulations and legislations in different countries around the world. There is today more than 170 countries that have signed a binding agreement with the United Nations to start implementing these regulations in their countries. It will happen. And that means that eventually every company that creates plastic pollution will be obligated by law to help to recover from the environment the matching amount of plastic what they generated. So if your company creates 1 million kilos of plastic waste a year, you will be obligated to work with someone, maybe with Corsair, but work with someone to go out there and recover that 1 million kilos of plastic out there, bring it back and make sure that it goes into recycling. And then as a result of that, you can now use those credits, get the certificate, and then show that you are truly the one who made it possible for this plastic to be recovered or supported in the process of making it happen. So these are the things that we are working with. And the CSR plastic credit today is very much the leading plastic credit globally. It's not the only one. It's not the first one. There is a few other plastic credits out there as well. And we are very happy to see overall the plastic credit market to develop. And I think there's going to be a lot of demand for plastic credits during this year and moving forwards. I personally believe that the plastic credit market and the value of all the plastic credits out there is going to increase significantly because of this massive new demand that is coming. Companies are doing it voluntarily, but soon they will be doing it because it's mandatory. They will use it because they have to. And there is very limited amount of plastic credits out there, which is because of the increasing supply, increasing demand and limited supply. It is going to increase the entire market. I'm not referring to CSR specifically in this one or any other plastic credit for that matter, but generally to the market. So this is what I expect to happen. And I think that for someone who is interested of helping to clean the environment and also is interested of potentially benefiting from the increase in the market, this area holds a lot of opportunities. That's how I would put it.
So for so many businesses and just individuals, it's and teamworks and crazy. And lately it just got a price increase, right? The CSR. Was it something special that was being announced that it had reached a price of 7 cents at a certain moment, or what?
Yeah, there is actually two types of CSR. There is something that we launched now in the beginning of the year called CSR 25, which is working very much similarly like the original CSR, with a few exceptions. First of all, the CSR 25 is an annually minted token. Basically, what it means is that on a monthly basis, we will calculate the amount of plastic that was recovered and recycled. And then based on that, we will then issue the equivalent amount of CSR. And instead of creating an X number on day one, but instead it will be created on a monthly basis as the work gets performed. And this is also based on audited statements from third-party auditors. And the CSR 25, which is a separate token, both CSR and CSR 25 are ERC20 tokens operating in the Ethereum blockchain, but they do have a different market. And whereas the original CSR is trading at around 2 cents on the open market, we don't control that, but it's out there depending on whatever anybody wants to buy and sell. That relates to $20 cents per kilo. So 2 cents times 10 tokens make a kilo. That means altogether 20 cents. With the CSR 25, we're seeing a very different market rate right now. we're actually seeing the CSR 25 trading on the open market right now for roughly about 10 cents per credit, which means that it's about $1 a kilo to use the CSR 25. What's interesting is that the general market price right now, if you look at the other plastic credits out there, the overall market is ranging somewhere between $3 to $5 per kilo. This is sort of the range what some of the companies are happy to pay at the moment. So I think that both CSR and CSR 25 are actually undervalued at the moment as a credit. But with the increasing demand and what's happening over there, it's definitely expected to develop together with the rest of the market. And also, additionally, with the CSR, from every liter of oil that Corsair produces and sells for our offtake partners like Shell, about 10% of that sales income that we generate from the oil sales is going into a specific buyback program where Corsair is buying CSR back from the market at any rate available. So this means that the more factories that we build, the more oil that we produce, the more money is going to go into the buyback program to also buy the CSR into the ownership of Corsair, which means that as there is a limited supply in circulation of the original CSR, it's already capped and it's already maxed, which means that from now onwards, it's only becoming less and less and less available with smaller and smaller and smaller circulation. And as demand keeps growing, with more factories being built, with more oil being produced, with more plastic waste being recovered from the environment, now, because of this, there's more demand coming into the market to buy the CSR, which is no longer being issued any longer. So that's why there are a lot of interesting opportunities involving in this business. And I think that the plastic credits are the future.
Definitely. It looks like it's going there, right? And yeah, the
Yes.
work that you have delivered the last years, even just, yeah, you just keep on delivering, and it's crazy on how you do this. And now, what do you see in the next 3 years, 3 to 5 years, going forward from here?
Basically, what I see and what we are aiming for is to continue to expand our recycling operations. That's the point number one. Build more factories around the world. We have already several new plants in the pipeline here in Thailand. We're looking to expand into different Asian countries, the Philippines, Indonesia, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, just to name a few. Additionally, we are now expanding into the Middle East, to Africa, obviously to the North America and South America. And then in Europe, we have a number of projects in the pipeline as well. So pretty much, I would say, outside of China and Russia, we're pretty much looking to expand everywhere in the world. Those are the only two places that we don't really have any active plans at the moment, maybe in the future. But that's basically where we are at the moment. And from the plastic credit point of view, we see CSR becoming a globally widely used solution, a vehicle where any company that is looking to take responsibility of their plastic waste footprint can simply use the CSR plastic credit as a vehicle between them and the collector. And what we want to do on the collection side is we want to expand our operations there. We are currently working already with more than 100,000 Thai fishermen for whom we pay per every kilo that they collect from the ocean and bring to the shore. We just opened a few months ago our first plastic waste collection center in the largest slum area here in Bangkok, an area with more than 140,000 people living in extreme poverty in an area which is littered with plastic. And we are now paying these people to bring their garbage to us. So people are getting paid cash on spot to bring plastic garbage to us. Now these people are able to earn extra income.
Beautiful.
While cleaning their own community. And for these people, every dollar, every cent makes a big difference. So now we're buying their garbage. And these are the actions that are possible when there is now large companies that say, hey, we want to help on this. And now they're doing it voluntarily. Soon they're doing it because it's mandatory by law. They are saying, okay, we want to go out and we want to remove 1 million kilos. The CSR is the vehicle between them and the fishermen, or between them and somebody living in the slum that gets paid to bring their plastic waste in. And Corsair is the one in the middle that is facilitating this. And then, in this case, taking the physical plastics, turning them into oil, and then selling that oil to the petrochemical majors that use that oil to make new, more environmentally friendlier and circular new plastic products. That's where we want to be. So we want to expand our operations globally. We want to get to our target of removing more than 1 billion kilo of plastic waste from the environment every year. And then from that, producing more than 1 billion liters of pyrolysis oil per year. As a company, we want to build this company now to become a multi-billion-dollar business. We are looking at going public to the stock market, hopefully in New York Stock Exchange in the next 36 months. Not that we really need to raise the capital, but I think that's the right way to go. We want to be in the major leagues. And at
Champions
that moment,
League.
and at that moment, I foresee that the company will be valued. At least we're targeting for that, at least in a couple of $2 billion. And if we can do that and keep on expanding, then we're on the right track. But most importantly, while we're doing all these things, while we are excited about building a business, and we're very passionate about the environment and how we want to impact on that one. But most of all, we're going to be able to help so many people around the world. That's where it really boils down to. That is what motivates me personally the most, is the stories, is to see how we can affect positively the lives of so many people from around the world, especially people living in extreme poverty, extreme conditions, that for them, this opportunity of now collecting plastic from their neighborhood can truly be life-changing. So what I want to do and what we're aiming to do is to help positively the lives of millions and millions of people around the world, either providing them new sources of income where they can participate in this new trash economy. That's one area. The second one is to provide people an opportunity to work with the Amplivo network and to be the facilitator in this operation. And by doing that, we allow people, or we provide for people, the tools to become financially independent, to create fortunes, to earn life-changing amounts of money. And with this business, there is no limit. There truly is no limit. If you're looking at an opportunity as an entrepreneur, there's no better business. There's nothing that is better than this one. I guarantee you. You show me a better business model than we have right now, and I will either join your business or I will invest into it. All right? That's my guarantee. Money back guarantee. There's nothing better than this. There is nothing better. You talk about timing, you talk about impact, you talk about profitability. Nothing comes close to this. That I can tell you right now.
So next level.
And above all of this, above the opportunities that it provides and we're helping people, most importantly, what we're doing is we're actually cleaning this planet. And we're leaving, as a result of that, a healthier and cleaner and greener planet for the future generations.
Plastic
That's what
oil.
we got to do. Yes. Cleaning this planet from the plastic garbage and safeguarding this planet so that future generations can enjoy its beaches and oceans and environment, like hopefully many of us have, before a lot of those places got completely polluted by plastic garbage. That is what motivates us. That's what we're very passionate about.
I can feel the passion, and yeah, so many things are in place towards going to the next level. And just like we talked about leadership, you are just started from the beginning on. I felt you and me and my dad and the whole team we know you were not just in this for the short term, right? Or short term gain, whatever. We knew that you were here, like we could feel it. You were serious gonna do it, man. and that's really,
I'm gonna listen. We're gonna do it, or I'm gonna die trying. That's what it comes down to. There's no other option.
Yes. And look at where you are now. You're not gonna sell the business, right? You're just gonna be like,
Oh
until
no.
the
We have
144 facilities with magical number, right? This is what the vision is actually, I guess, right? 144 facilities, or going for
a couple hundred.
produce 1 billion liters. And then, making plastic have a value where people can start collecting it. Yeah, it's the only way we can clean it in the end, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And when it comes down to the CSR, go.
No, please.
The CSR, the legacy token, it's closed. No, it's going and shrinking by the minute, but as you can see, and we have the CSR 25. It's going to be more important. Right now we have the CSR 25 at 10 cents, but not only that, there are speculations, or there are a lot of things happening right now which would make the plastic credit increase big in price. What do you see happening for the CSR 25 and CSR in general?
Well, I don't want to give any specific predictions on that one, but we're gonna see the market go up a lot. Like I said before, there's gonna be a lot of demand coming in. Right now it's voluntary demand. Soon it's gonna be mandatory by law, and I think we're gonna see a lot of things happening, very interesting things happening for the general plastic credit market. So it'll be a wild and interesting run for the next few years.
Yes, indeed. Wow. Well, just to actually save up your time, it's 4 a.m. For your time, and you gave already so much time doing this podcast and the meeting before.
My pleasure.
Give a like, subscribe, join the tribe. Thank you so much for watching, and go plastic neutral. Take your responsibility as an individual, as a company, and look at the opportunities that this can bring you. The CSR, corporate social responsibility. We, as an individual and as a company, have to really take our responsibility for the environment, because we live on planet Earth and we make it dirt. We do not want this planet to go fully in self-destruction. We want this planet to thrive and live and go forward for many generations forward. And by this company and with your responsibility as an individual and as a company, we can take our responsibility. It's the ability to respond, and it's really the power to take a change. And this is what you really did, Jay. Be the change you wish to see. And truly inspiring, truly life changing for me and for many other people. And so big. Thank you so much for your insights and the leadership that you are bringing. It's so clear that you're really making change as just an individual, just to see how just one person can change so many lives. So it starts with purpose and action. It's true that, like you say, like the stress you received, it's like you have, with great responsibility comes great power, right?
Yeah, or the other way around. With great power comes great responsibility. But yeah,
But you
that's
had
what it,
like in
yeah.
this, like wow, like so many responsibility at so many levels, and even still till now. Yeah. Any last words,
Yeah.
Jay? What you would like to say?
No, I would say, first of all, I want to thank you very much for having me on your podcast. I really, always enjoy talking with you, and
I enjoy it
let's get you
too.
let's have another one and
Third,
see
the
when this one
Trinity.
goes.
This is the
You
the
know, you
golden
know,
power.
I'll be here on the third one. I'll either talking about expansion or telling you what went wrong. Hopefully, hopefully it's gonna be the first option, and I'm sure it will be. So
People
I'm
are
really looking forward for that.
go. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
really looking forward for that, and I think you're doing a great job. I've been very fortunate to watch you develop and grow and to build your career and how you've been coming up and up and as you said, as you just showed there is no success or development in anything. It never goes like this, right? It goes ups, it goes down, and that's how you and I'm really happy that we're working together and you're doing an amazing job. So thank you very much for that, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you again soon.
You truly changed my life, Jussi, and I'm thanking you big time. So
Thank you, bro.
blessful. And give a like, subscribe, join the tribe, and go plastic neutral. And then I would say I would go and live the best life you live, the life you love, right? Or
Absolutely.
love the life you live. It's both, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Juicy J,
Very
all
good.
the
Thank you
way.
very much.
Uh,
Thank you very much, Niels.